Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Wednesday, February the 3rd. We do have a big Wednesday slate. We got a 10-gamer tonight, and it's a pretty fun one. We got a lot of injuries to talk about. There's a couple of teams on back-to-backs that could potentially be resting some guys, so we'll break it all down. We'll go through each game, go team by team, break down what I'm liking on this Wednesday slate. Obviously, these are my early thoughts. I'm recording this video the night before, so nothing's really set in stone here. If you want my more up-to-date thoughts, you can check out my Patreon content link down below. You can tune into the live stream, which I will most likely be live streaming this afternoon. I'm not 100% sure yet, but if I do go live, I'll be live around 3:30 Eastern time. We'll be able to talk through the slate again, but yeah, guys, let's break everything down. Just before we do get started, hit that like button as always. Hit the subscribe button as well. Be sure to click that notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload, and you also get notified every time I do go live. And like I said, if you want to check out my Patreon content, if you want to get more up-to-date content from me, get access to my full updated core plays, my positional breakdown, my player pool, our Discord chat is available for Patreon members, so you can check that out. Link down below in the description. But we'll go ahead and start off with the Sixers and Hornets game, and we'll start off on the Philly side. So with the Sixers, this is normally a team, when they're priced appropriately, this is normally a team I don't have too much interest in outside of Joel Embiid. And I think that's once again the case here. I think Joel Embiid makes for perfectly fine spin-up option on the slate. He's not my top play. I think there's some other guys I'd rather have over him. But at 10K, Embiid still has the upside, especially in this matchup against the Hornets. The Hornets have always been pretty bad defensively against big men. They were last year. They've been a little bit better this year, but still, Embiid is matchup proof. I don't really see Cody Zeller or Bismack Biyombo really slowing him down. Definitely a good spot for Embiid. If the game's close, he's going to play 35, 36 minutes. Easily could put up 55, 60 DK points. Definitely in play for me on Philly. He's really the only guy, though, that I have interest in from the Sixers. Like, normally on big slates, I don't like targeting Ben Simmons or Tobias Harris, and I just don't think I'm going to really go to them on this slate. So for the Sixers, I like Embiid, and that's really it. He's the only guy that I have interest in from Philly. So moving on to the Charlotte side, Charlotte is a team worth talking about today. So we already have news that P.J. Washington has been ruled out for this game, while Terry Rozier is questionable. So starting off at the top with Gordon Hayward, I think with P.J. Washington out, that's a little bit of a boost for Gordon Hayward. Should maybe play a few more minutes. Maybe with no Washington, he gets a few more rebounds, his way as well. Maybe his rebounding numbers get a little bit of a boost. His price is down to $7,200, so I think he is pretty appealing on the slate. He is definitely someone we can look to. I think there's some other small forwards I would prefer over him at a similar price range that we're going to talk about later. But I do have interest in Gordon Hayward from Charlotte. LaMelo Ball, if Terry Rozier is out again, I do like LaMelo Ball quite a bit. I know he was disappointing last game. He started, played 31 minutes. He was in foul trouble the entire game, only finished with 30 DK points. If Rozier is out again and LaMelo starts, I'm going to go right back to LaMelo. I think he's a really good option. Again, even at 7K. He's a guy that, when he's playing 30, 32 minutes a night, he's going to put up 40-plus DK points very often. He's a guy that can, contribute in all categories, can score, can rebound, can get assists. Legit has triple-double upside every night. And in the starting lineup, if he were to start again, I think the minutes would be there, which is the key for LaMelo Ball. He just needs the minutes, and I would assume they would be there if he does start. So if Rozier is out, I do like LaMelo Ball a lot at 7K. Would definitely prefer him over Devontae Graham. I don't have too much interest in Devontae Graham. Now, Cody Zeller, he's been playing really well lately. He's been getting a ton of minutes. I think with P.J. Washington out, that just makes me feel even confident that he gets big minutes here. It is a really tough matchup, though, against Joel Embiid. Plus, his prices come way up to $5,800. I'm probably not going to be on Cody Zeller today. Would I be surprised if he plays 36 minutes and has 35 DK points and is a solid play at his price? I wouldn't be surprised if he does that, but there's definitely some foul trouble concerns here against Embiid. It's a tough matchup. The price is up. I just think there's enough working against Cody Zeller today for me to not have a ton of interest in him. Really on Charlotte, the guys I like most are Gordon Hayward, LaMelo Ball. Miles Bridges, I think, is viable. He's $4,600. I assume he starts for P.J. Washington. He's a guy that doesn't have an insane amount of upside, but if he is starting, I think he probably gets 30 to 32 minutes, maybe more. Definitely could give you 25, 30 DK points, be a solid play at $4,600. He's in play as a value, and Malik Monk would be in play as a value. He's up to 4K, but he went off last game, played 40 minutes off the bench with no Terry Rozier, had a massive game, 48 Draftkings points. Malik Monk, he's not someone that I would expect 48 DK points from again, but he's a scorer. He's a guy that's going to come off the bench and take a ton of shots. And with no Rozier, I would assume the minutes are there for Malik Monk. So at 4K, definitely someone you can look to as a value if Rozier is out. So there's actually quite a bit that I like from Charlotte today. Gordon Hayward, LaMelo Ball if Rozier is out, Malik Monk if Rozier is out, and then Miles Bridges with Washington out I have interest in. So all four of those guys I think are viable from the Hornets today. Definitely a pretty appealing team, and they're also a team that runs a pretty tight rotation. Like they really only play 8, maybe 9 guys most nights. So you're seeing a lot of these starters play heavy minutes, and I think that's going to be the case once again. And even though they may be down 2 starters, I think you're going to see heavy minutes for all the other guys. So yeah, I do like Charlotte quite a bit. They're actually a pretty appealing team on this slate, even though it is a tougher matchup against these Sixers. But moving on to the Pacers side. So on the Pacers, I think Domantas Sabonis, Malcolm Brogdon, these two guys are always viable. I think Sabonis looks the most appealing. His price is all the way down to $8,300. Like Sabonis, he's just a really productive player when he gets minutes. He's been insanely consistent this year. He's playing a ton of minutes as well. Like he's going to get 36, 38 minutes if it's a close game. Milwaukee hasn't been as good defensively this year. They do still play at a pretty fast pace. Definitely a favorable spot for Sabonis. Like whenever this guy's healthy, there's no reason for him to be only $8,300. Like he should be over $9K whenever he's healthy. So Sabonis is too cheap. He by far is my favorite guy to target from the Pacers today. I don't think I have too much interest in any of the secondary guys, though. I think Sabonis is the guy that I really like most from the Pacers. I mean, I guess you could target Malcolm Brogdon. It is a revenge game if you want to factor that in against his former team. But if I'm going to play one of those two guys, I'd rather go to Sabonis at $8,300. So I do like him quite a bit on this slate. I think he is underpriced for sure. But on the Milwaukee side, looking at the Bucks here, again, this is a team that whenever they're fully healthy, the only guy I ever have really interest in, that I really ever have interest in, is Giannis. On this slate, I don't think Giannis stands out as like a top option. He burned me last slate, so I'm sure I'm not going to play him today, and then he's going to go off because that's just how it goes. But Giannis, he's in play basically every slate. He's just such a high upside player. He's going to play a good amount of minutes if it's a close game. Could put up 50, 60 DK points any night. It's just, I don't think at 11K he's someone I really want to go out of my way to play when you have, some other studs like Luka's in a really good spot against the Hawks. You even have, Embiid for $1,000 less. Giannis is always viable, but this doesn't feel like a slate where I'm going to really be going out of my way to play him. And really on the Bucks side, there's not a ton that stands out from the Bucks today, at least not right now. So I think we can go ahead and move on to the next one, Dallas and Atlanta. So this is a pretty appealing game. On the Dallas side, I do like the top two guys here quite a bit. Luka Doncic, $10,800. Kristaps Porzingis, $7,500. It is a great spot for both guys. The Hawks, they've never been really a good defensive team. They always have been a pretty fast-paced team, and that's once again the case this year. Pretty sure they're top 10 in pace so far this season. So really good spot for Luka, really good spot for Porzingis. I think it's $7,500. Porzingis looks really appealing on this slate. I think this is a time where we can kind of buy low on him. I know he's been struggling lately, but he looked better last game against Phoenix. Had 42 DK points in 34 minutes. He's been getting the minutes. He's going to play 34, 35 minutes if this is a close game. Really good matchup. The price is down because of how poorly he's played. I would not be surprised to see Porzingis finally get back on track, put up 45, 50 DK points tonight. I do like him quite a bit against this Hawks team, and I think it's $7,500. He is a little bit too cheap on DK, and I don't think he's going to get a ton of ownership today. So I do like Porzingis a lot, and I like him on Yahoo as well. If you play over there, Porzingis, very affordable at power forward, coming in at only $32. Do like him quite a bit on both sides in this matchup. And obviously, Luka's a really good pay-up option as well. I think I would prefer Luka over Giannis just straight up between the two. But then you got the secondary guys like Tim Hardaway, Josh Ritzen. So Josh Ritzen, he did have a really big game last game. Played 37 minutes, had 40 DK points. The minutes are there. He got 35 minutes the game before, so we're going to get, 35, 36 minutes from Richardson today. He's someone that you never know what you're going to get from him, but in a matchup against Atlanta in a fast-paced game, a game that should be high-scoring, I think Josh Richardson is viable. He's not a top value for me. I think there's other guys I would definitely consider over him, but Richardson at $4,500. If you're looking for anyone on Dallas outside of Luka and Porzingis, I think it would definitely be Josh Richardson for me. But that really does it for the Mavs. I think by far Luka, Porzingis, the two guys I like most, and then Richardson's fine as well, but not a top option for me on this slate. So moving on to the Hawks. On the Hawks side, Trae Young, Clint Capella, John Collins. On this slate, I think all three are viable. None of them stand out as top options like core plays for me. I think Trae Young, basically anytime he's priced, in this 9K range, he's always going to be someone I look to get into my lineups. If I'm only playing one lineup tonight, which I am, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get Trae Young into my one lineup, but if I was playing multiple lineups, I would want exposure to Trae Young for sure. Always has upside, a high usage player, going to play a ton of minutes, going to get 36, 38 minutes if it's a close game. Even in a tough matchup, last time out against the Lakers, he still had 56 Draftkings points in 39 minutes. Like, he's just been playing so well lately. He's been so consistent. He's put up at least 50 Draftkings points in, like, I think 6 or 7 straight games. 8 straight games, actually. So 8 straight games with 50-plus DK points for Trae Young. Just been so consistent, man. At 9,500, I still think he's pretty reasonably priced on this slate, so he's interesting for me. Capella, I'm not a big fan of him at his price. I mean, he's someone you can maybe throw in tournaments if you're playing a lot of lineups, but I don't think I'd get to him if I'm playing just a handful of lineups or even, one lineup. John Collins, the price has come down as well on him, which makes him a little bit appealing, but on a bigger slate like this, I don't know if Collins, Capella are going to be guys I really go out of my way to target. I think Trae Young's someone you can definitely mix in if you're playing a good amount of lineups, but I don't think, in terms of top options, in terms of core plays, like nobody really stands out from the Hawks as a top option or a core play for me, at least not right now. So I think we can go ahead and move on to the next game, the Knicks and the Bulls. We just saw these teams play a couple days ago. They're going to be facing off again here. Julius Randle, basically the same thing I said. I think it was Monday when these teams played. Same thing applies here. It's a really good matchup, big-time pace-up spot here for the Knicks. Randle had a lot of success in this matchup when they played Monday. 39 minutes, 50 Draftkings points. I would not be surprised to see a similar line from Randle today, if not, a better game. At 9,100, he's still viable. Obviously not a core play, not a guy I'd be going out of my way to play, but in tournaments, the upside is definitely there for Julius Randle in the spot. The Knicks, or the Bulls, just have always been a team that's really struggled against big men. They do play at a really fast pace. They've been really bad defensively, so it is a favorable matchup for these Knicks guys. Randle's by far, the most appealing option at the top. Emmanuel Quickley, I think, is fine as well. I liked him a lot on Monday's slate. Obviously, now that we have 10 games today, I don't think he's as appealing, but he played 30 minutes off the bench, had 34 DK points. It seems like he is clearly their go-to guy right now. They're playing him over Elfrid Payton. It seems like Quickley's going to get, mid to high, close to 30 minutes mostly every night off the bench. And he's a productive player when he does get minutes. He's a high-usage player as well. He's going to have the ball in his hands a lot. In a pace-up matchup against a bad Bulls defense, you could definitely target Emmanuel Quickley on this slate. He was low-owned on the last slate, and I think he's going to be low-owned again. So both Randle and Quickley stand out as low-owned tournament options that have a lot of upside. But outside of those two, I don't think there's really any other core options from the Bulls or like top plays. From the Knicks, excuse me. Mitchell Robinson I liked in this matchup. He played 20 minutes, though, only had 21 DK points. Like, it's just hard to trust Mitchell Robinson, even in a good matchup like this, even though his price is down to $5K. I don't have too much interest in him on this slate. I think it's just Randle and Quickley for me that look the most appealing from the Knicks. So going ahead and moving on to the Bulls side. On the Bulls, we know Wendell Carter remains out. Otto Porter, I believe, is probable. He's expected to play. Yeah, he's expected to play, but like Levine, Markin, and Kobe White, I don't think any of those three guys really stand out as top plays today. Sure, they have upside in tournaments. They could always pop off at any night. Zach LaVine, could put up 50+ any night, but I don't think I'm going to be going out of my way to play him in a pace down spot against the Knicks, and the Knicks have actually been pretty good defensively this year. Thaddeus Young, he's been playing so well lately off the bench. He's been getting good minutes. He got 31 minutes last game, 39 DK points. He nearly had a triple-double again. He's been contributing in all categories, been showing a ton of upside. The price is still rising, though. He's up to $5,900 now. I don't think I'm going to be going out of my way to play Thaddeus Young today. Even though he's been playing so well lately, and he may still feel a little bit too cheap, I just don't know if he's someone I'm really going to look to target on a big slate like this. I don't think there's really anyone from the Bulls that stands out as a top option or a core play for me. Honestly, the Bulls are probably going to be a team I just kind of fade today. I just don't love the spot for them. I don't love the pricing either. Just not a team I have that much interest in. So we can go ahead and move on to the next one, the Clippers and the Cavs. So on the Clippers side, this is a back-to-back for the Clippers, which is something worth noting. I don't think we're going to see anybody rest here. I'd assume Kawhi and PG both play, but at least it's something worth noting. Kawhi, 9K on DK, pretty reasonable price tag for him. Just, when this team is healthy, I just don't love targeting these guys. I know Kawhi had a really big game Tuesday night against Brooklyn. I didn't play him personally, which is going to cost me, but even if he plays today, I don't love Kawhi on this slate. I don't love PG at their price tags. I think there's just so many other options that I would rather target over those two guys. Really nobody from the Clippers stands out. If Patrick Beverley remains out, maybe we get, 28, 30 minutes from Reggie Jackson, and he could be a fine option at $5,400. But in terms of top plays, core plays, nobody from the Clippers stands out right now. We'll have to keep an eye on it, though, because, it is a back-to-back. in a matchup against Cleveland where they should win. I wouldn't be surprised if you see one of the two stars rest here. Just keep an eye on it. If they all play and if the team's fully healthy, nobody stands out as a top play from the Clippers. So on the Cavs side, this is a team we'll have to watch in terms of injuries. Larry Nance has already been ruled out, while Andre Drummond is questionable once again. Drummond missed last game. He was announced questionable, and then he wound up sitting, did not play. Obviously, that is very impactful news that's going to change a lot on the slate. Last game with Drummond out, we saw Jared Allen get the start, and he had a massive game in the starting lineup. He played 35 minutes, had 58 Draftkings points. I think even with his price up to $6,500, Jared Allen would still look like a very appealing play if Drummond is out again. I don't know if he'd be like a slam dunk like he was on the last slate, but I would still have a lot of interest in Jared Allen if Drummond is out. Colin Sexton would get a little boost as well. Darius Garland would get a little boost. We saw Taurean Prince start last game in place of Larry Nance. He played 32 minutes, had 30 DK points. I think we can definitely look to go back to Taurean Prince today. He's not like a top value by any means. His price came up a little bit, but should still get probably 30 to 32 minutes in the starting lineup. It's not a good matchup against the Clippers, but the price is still somewhat reasonable. I don't mind Prince as a cheap value that we can consider. Obviously, he's not like a top value or anything, but definitely someone worth considering. But yeah, from the Cavs, I think it's really just if Drummond's out, I like Jared Allen a lot once again, and he's kind of like the top play from the Cavs for me. Sexton I think's fine, Garland's fine, Prince is fine, but Jared Allen's the guy that I do really like again if Drummond's out. Now if Drummond plays, I really don't have much interest in anyone on this team. Maybe Drummond you could throw in tournaments, but if Drummond plays, I don't have really any interest in anyone. So we're just going to have to wait and see there with Drummond's status. Obviously, if he's out, Jared Allen will be a really good play once again. But moving on to the next game, Washington and Miami. So this is another game we're going to have to watch in terms of injuries. Washington is on a back-to-back, so there's a good chance that Russell Westbrook does not play today. We'll have to keep an eye on that. As of now, I'm going to assume he plays, but obviously if he's out, that's going to change some things. That's going to make Bradley Beal a great pay-up option. That's going to open up some value with potentially a guy like Ish Smith, who is really cheap, $4,800. He would be a solid value if he starts at point guard for Westbrook. So just keep an eye on the status of Westbrook, given it's a back-to-back. Assuming he plays, I don't have much interest in anyone on Washington if Westbrook plays. I think Westbrook himself is, a little bit too cheap at $9,200, but it's not that good of a spot against the Heat. But if Westbrook is out, then yeah, I like Bradley Beal a lot at $9,700. Even though he feels somewhat expensive, he just gets so much usage when Westbrook is off the floor. His usage rate is above 40% this year without Westbrook, and Beal's just going to dominate the usage. He's going to take a ton of shots. He's going to play a ton of minutes as long as it's a close game. So if Westbrook's out, I like Bradley Beal a lot. I would assume that probably Ish Smith starts at point guard, especially since Raul Neto is out. So Ish Smith at $4,800, if he were to start, he'd probably get 28 to 30 minutes. He's been pretty productive this year on a point-per-minute basis. I would like him a good amount as a value at $4,800. Maybe would get some more minutes for a guy like Garrison Matthews, $3,300, but if this team's fully healthy, if Westbrook plays, I don't have really any interest in anyone. If Westbrook's out, though, I like Beal a lot, and I would like Ish Smith quite a bit if he were to start. But I think that really does it for the Wizards. On the Miami side, it is a great matchup for these guys on Miami, but their price tags are pretty high today. Bam Adebayo is $9,300. Jimmy Butler is $8,400. We still got to watch the status of Tyler Hero and Goran Dragic. I believe they're both questionable. Hero is actually probable, so he's expected to play, and Dragic is probable as well. So, yeah, it makes it tough now. With Dragic expected to play, Hero expected to play, with his team getting fully healthy, even in a great matchup against Washington, I don't know if I really want to go out of my way to play any of these guys. I think they're guys you can mix in tournaments if you're playing a lot of lineups, but if I'm only playing one lineup, I don't think Bam Adebayo makes it into an optimal lineup for me. He's just too expensive. Jimmy Butler as well feels a little bit too expensive at $8,400. Sure, he could go out there and put up 50-plus again in a matchup like this, but with Hero back, with Dragic back, that's going to hurt Butler a little bit. So I don't think anyone stands out from Miami today. Even in a good matchup, nobody stands out as a top play given given where the pricing is on all these guys. So I think we go ahead and move on to the next one, the Houston Rockets and OKC Thunder. So this is a very appealing game because we have some injuries to talk about on both sides. We already know that John Wall has been ruled out for the Rockets, which is going to definitely open up some options. And then we'll talk about on the OKC side, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has also been ruled out, and I believe this is the first game that SGA has missed this year. So definitely going to be some guys on the Thunder we want to target. But starting off with the Rockets side, with John Wall out, Christian Wood should get a small boost. I still don't know if it's, enough to where I'd want to go out of my way to play him at 8,600, but he's definitely viable. He does get a small bump with John Wall out, but I think Wall being out really affects Victor Oladipo, and it really affects Eric Gordon. And those are the two guys I have the most interest in. I think Oladipo looks really good on both sides. He's 7,800 on DK, which does feel, a little bit too cheap. They didn't really adjust his price on Yahoo. They didn't adjust his price over there either. He's $33, so I think Oladipo looks like a very strong play here with no John Wall. Going to be the primary point guard. He's going to be the primary ball handler when he's on the floor. I know he's been struggling lately. He hasn't had really any good games over his last two, but a lot of that's been due to blowout. He's only played 25 minutes in their last two games. This game could blow out here. I mean, OKC without SGA could just get blown out tonight, and I wouldn't be surprised. But if it does stay close and we get 35, 36 minutes from Victor Oladipo with no John Wall, we've seen that he has 45, 50-point upside when you take Wall off the floor. He gets a usage bump. He gets a bump in his assist percentage. He's going to, have the ball in his hands a ton. The price tag, if anything, it just went down, which doesn't make a lot of sense. So at 7,800, I like Victor Oladipo a lot tonight with John Wall out. I think he greatly benefits, and Eric Gordon should greatly benefit as well. I would assume that maybe Eric Gordon moves into the starting lineup. I wouldn't, set that in stone, but we'll just have to keep an eye on it. Even if Gordon comes off the bench, I still think he's going to get a good amount of usage off the bench, even, if he does come off the bench. If he starts, obviously he would lose a little bit of usage playing alongside Christian Wood and Oladipo, but he would still get a good amount of minutes. And I think with no John Wall, it's likely we see 30, 32 minutes from Eric Gordon today. I didn't have much interest in him when he was 6,700, 6,600. Now that his price is down to 5,400 and John Wall is out, I think Eric Gordon is definitely in play on the slate. But in terms of core options from Houston, I think Victor Oladipo is the guy that really stands out the most to me from the Rockets. And I think you can mix in Christian Wood, you can mix in Eric Gordon. Maybe, Jayshawn Tate gets a little bit of a boost, but I think outside of those, 2-3 guys, Victor Oladipo is by far the guy I have the most interest in from Houston. Nothing else, though. I'd be surprised if we see like Sterling Brown start. I don't think they're going to do that. They're likely going to move Oladipo to point guard. So, yeah, I don't think there's really not going to be any cheap value that is worth targeting from Houston. So, moving on to the OKC side. OKC, definitely a team we have to discuss given the injury to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He has already been ruled out for tonight, so that's definitely going to open up some viable plays from OKC. Al Horford, Darius Bazley, they should both get a little bit of a usage bump. Obviously, SGA is a very high usage player. He leads this team in usage, so getting him off the floor, there's going to be a lot of beneficiaries. I do expect Horford to benefit. I expect Bazley to benefit. I think at Horford's price, he's still not someone I have too much interest in, but I think Bazley does look like a pretty solid option at 5,200. Just should be able to get more usage, should be able to get more shots up with no SGA. He's definitely someone I have interest in at 5,200. And I'm going to be interested to see who they decide to start here. They could maybe start, I really don't know. Like, they could move Theo Maledon to point guard because George Hill is out as well. So with no George Hill, obviously he's not going to be there to start. So I'd assume they either move Theo Maledon to point guard and they start like maybe Justin Jackson, or they move Hamidou Diallo into the starting lineup. And I think that's possible for tonight. So even if Hamidou Diallo starts or he comes off the bench, I don't really care. I have a ton of interest in him at 4,500 on DK. I think he is one of the better values right now. I'm expecting him to just get a ton of usage with no SGA on the floor. His usage rate should see a pretty big spike, and he's been productive this year on a point per minute basis. He just hasn't really been able to play a ton of minutes given they already have other guys they've looked to. They have SGA, they have Theo Maledon they'd be giving big minutes to. But now that SGA is out, I think it's likely we get 26, 28 minutes from Diallo off the bench. If he starts, I'd feel more confident that he plays like 32 to 34 minutes. And he's been close to a point per minute player this year at 4,500 in a pace-up matchup against Houston. I think Hamidou Diallo with SGA out looks like a really, really good value on the slate. I do like him quite a bit at 4,500. And Theo Maledon, not normally a guy I look to target, but I think with no SGA, he is definitely someone we can consider as a value option as well. He's been starting recently, been playing pretty big minutes. I'd assume he gets, pretty big minutes once again. He should have the ball in his hands more, should get more usage with Alexander off the floor. So definitely like Theo Maledon as well. Maybe Lou Dort you could target 4,400. I still never like playing Lou Dort, but he should get a little bump with SGA off the floor. But I think top plays from OKC for me are definitely Darius Bazley, Hamidou Diallo, and Theo Maledon. Those are the guys that I do like the most from the Thunder. And maybe if one of these guys starts, if Justin Jackson starts, he could be viable. But still, I don't love him as a value play. It'd probably just be those three guys that I mentioned as, top plays from OKC. OKC definitely an appealing team today, just given, they're missing two starters, and, their highest usage player is going to be out. So that's going to open up a lot of viable plays from the Thunder. But we can go ahead and move on to the next one, the Timberwolves and the Spurs. So on the Timberwolves side, we still got to watch the injuries here. Karl-Anthony Towns remains out. D'Angelo Russell, I believe, is questionable for this game. Yeah, he's questionable once again. I think Naz Reid is probable, though. Yeah, Naz Reid's expected to play. So Naz Reid expected to play. D'Angelo Russell is questionable. I mean, not really much stands out as top options from Minnesota. I think D'Angelo Russell himself, if he plays, looks pretty appealing at 6,800. I know he's been terrible lately, but the price has, plummeted on DraftKings. He's down to 6,800. He still should lead this team in usage, should still get a good amount of minutes if this game is close. He hasn't really been getting, monster minutes, but I still think 30 to 32 minutes from Russell is likely if it's a close game. And at 6,800, he has the upside to pay off that price tag, in 30 to 32 minutes. So I think Russell, at his price, looks pretty appealing. But, nobody from Minnesota stands out as a top play today. I've been liking Anthony Edwards lately. He's been starting, been getting pretty big minutes. On a bigger slate like this, though, where you have so many options, I just don't think Anthony Edwards is really going to be someone I look to on a big slate like this. So that kind of does it for Minnesota. Pretty easy team to break down. Just not much stands out as top plays from the Timberwolves. I think these are guys you can mix in tournaments like Russell, Edwards, maybe Naz Reid, assuming he plays. But nobody stands out as like a core option, a top play from the Timberwolves. Now on the Spurs side, totally different story over here. The Spurs are definitely a team we have to talk about. So the pricing already just makes these guys really appealing. Nobody is above 7K on DraftKings. Plus, LaMarcus Aldridge has already been ruled out for San Antonio. So that's going to open up some usage. That's going to open up some playing time. For me, it starts with DeMar DeRozan. I think DeMar DeRozan, he's burned me the last two slates. I've played in both of the last two games, and he's been pretty bad against Memphis. 7 DK points in 25 minutes, 30 DK points in 30 minutes. He obviously lost time due to blowout last game, but now in a great spot against Minnesota, pace-up matchup, a Minnesota team that hasn't played any defense at all this year. They're one of the worst defensive teams in the league. I mean, you could not ask for a better spot for DeMar DeRozan. Plus, the price on him is down. Plus, LaMarcus Aldridge is out. I think he stands out as one of the better small forward plays today. Definitely one of the better forward plays overall when you factor in his price. He's just too cheap on both sides. We saw earlier this year, I think Aldridge was missed some games, or maybe it was last year, I can't remember, but DeRozan's price was, up to 8K when Aldridge was out for a good amount of time. Like, DeRozan gets a big bump with Aldridge off the floor. He's going to get more usage, going to get more opportunity. Definitely stands out as a top play from San Antonio today. Great matchup here against Minnesota. I do like DeRozan a lot, and I think Dejounte Murray, Keldon Johnson, they're both viable as well. They should both get more usage with Aldridge off the floor. Keldon Johnson should see his minutes be more secure. With no Aldridge, I feel very confident that Johnson gets 30 to 32 minutes. I think between him, Murray, and DeRozan, like Johnson's probably my least favorite. I probably would rank them how they're priced, but definitely viable just because getting Aldridge off the floor is going to make there be a lot of beneficiaries. And then Jakob Poeltl we do need to talk about as a value. So I know we've kind of been down this road before. Whenever Aldridge has missed games, we all play Jakob Poeltl, and it seems to never go right. But this is such a good matchup against Minnesota. Like, Minnesota has been so bad defensively against centers this year, against big men. I know the price tag went up on Poeltl up to 4,600, but I still think he looks like a really good value today. I'm assuming that he starts in place of Aldridge and probably plays close to 30 minutes if this game is competitive. So at 4,600 on DK, I do like him a good amount as a value play. And on Yahoo, he is minimum salary over there. So I think if you're looking for a cheap center, Poeltl stands out as one of the top values at the center position and really just one of the better values overall. With no Aldridge, the minutes to be there, he's still relatively cheap. I like him quite a bit. Him and DeRozan I like a ton from San Antonio today. And I think Aldridge, with him being out, that's going to benefit Murray and Johnson as well. So those are two guys you could also consider. But I don't think there's really anyone else I want to go to. Maybe you could target Rudy Gay. He should get a few more minutes with Aldridge out. But we've seen, they just don't want to play Rudy Gay a ton of minutes. Even when Aldridge has missed games, Rudy Gay still only will play 20, 22 minutes. He's cheap, though. He's 4K. He has upside when he does get minutes. He's viable, as a lower-owned option that does have some upside. But I think that really does it for San Antonio. Definitely, one of the more appealing teams on the slate, given the pricing and given the matchup, plus the addition that Aldridge is out. We can go ahead and move on to the next one, though. Phoenix and New Orleans. So on Phoenix, nothing stands out as a top play today from Phoenix. I believe Devin Booker is expected to play here. Yeah, he is probable. He's expected to play. with Devin Booker fully healthy, like I just don't like a ton from Phoenix. They just haven't really been a team I've targeted much this year when they're fully healthy, and that's the case today. So, if you want to target Chris Paul or Devin Booker or DeAndre Ayton as, lower owned tournament options, you can, but nobody on Phoenix I'm really going to be going out of my way to play. Just don't really like this team much at all. On the New Orleans side, it's kind of the same thing on New Orleans. Like, not a great matchup. Phoenix plays really slow. They've been good defensively. Brandon Ingram, Zion, they both always have upside for tournaments, but neither one looked like top plays today. Lonzo Ball I liked a lot last slate. Not as appealing today, just given there's so many other options on this slate, plus it's not as good of a matchup. His price also went up to $5,700. Steven Adams is questionable again, so we'll need to monitor that. Even if he's out, I don't know if I want to go back to Jackson Hayes. I fell into that trap last game. He only played 11 minutes. He was in foul trouble. I'd assume he starts again in place of Adams if Adams is out, but yeah, just really nobody from the Pelicans stands out as a top option today. This game as a whole is just not that appealing to me. Not much really stands out from either side. I think there's guys you can mix in tournaments as low-owned plays, like Brandon Ingram, Zion, Chris Paul, Booker, but not really anyone I'd have a ton of exposure to in this game overall. So we can go ahead and move on to the last game on the slate, Boston and Sacramento. Boston, they are on a back-to-back today, so this is going to be something to monitor. Kemba Walker, I believe he did rest the last time they were on a back-to-back, so there is a chance he could be out today. We already know that Marcus Smart is out, so if we do get a scenario where Kemba's out plus Smart's out, if Kemba does wind up resting, Jeff Teague would actually become a pretty good value just because they'd be down their two starting guards, and I'd assume Teague probably moves into the starting lineup and would get around 30 minutes in a great matchup against Sacramento. He would be a really strong value on the slate if he does wind up starting for Kemba, if Kemba winds up resting. If the team is fully healthy, though, and Kemba plays, I think Tatum's viable. I think Jaylen Brown's valuable just because it's such a good matchup against Sacramento. Sacramento's been so bad defensively this year. They play at a really fast pace. I think those are two guys you can definitely throw into tournament builds. Neither one stands out as optimal plays today, but obviously if Kemba were to sit, that would make me more interested in Jaylen Brown, more interested in Tatum. I think between the two, I would probably rather go to Jaylen Brown given he's $1,000 cheaper. But we'll just have to wait and see here. There is a chance that Kemba rests because it's a back-to-back. And if he were to rest, that would make me a lot more interested in Brown, Tatum, and Jeff Teague. If he plays, though, and the team's fully healthy, not much at all stands out from Boston in terms of top options today, even in a good matchup. So moving on to Sacramento, touching on them real quick. Look, it's just not that good of a matchup against Boston. Nobody on this team stands out as a top play today. I think, De'Aaron Fox, someone you can always target in tournaments, kind of like Zion and Ingram and those guys. It's not a great matchup, but he always has a ton of upside. He put up 63 DK points in 40 minutes last game against the Pelicans. The price tag's still reasonable on Fox, so someone you could look to in tournaments as a lower-owned option, but Buddy Hield, Rashawn Holmes, Barnes, none of these guys stands out as top options for me. I don't even really like them that much on this slate. Halliburton should get around 30 minutes off the bench, so maybe you could target him. He's still relatively affordable at $5,400. If I had to go to anyone from the Kings, it would probably be Fox and Halliburton as the two guys I like most. But another game that I just don't have a ton of interest in outside of maybe on the Boston side, if we get news that Kemba Walker is going to rest, then that's going to open up some plays on Boston. But that really does it for all 10 games, guys. I think we broke everything down, broke it all down team by team. I hope you did enjoy this video. As always, if you enjoyed, hit that like button before you do get out of here. Hit the subscribe button as well. Click that notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You'll also get notified every time I do go live. Not sure yet if I'm going to be live streaming this afternoon, but if I do, I should be live around 3:30, 4 o'clock Eastern time, so tune into the stream if I am able to. But yeah, good luck tonight, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, check out the Patreon content, link down below in the description, and best of luck tonight. Appreciate you watching, guys. Peace.